years, well, we're 2.5 years. We're actually halfway. Pakistan right is halfway to the next general election. If it's 5 years we're looking at, it could be less. So, to say, of course, the road to reform is tough. There's no doubt about that. But I think you don't have much time. And I think if there are any policy changes that need to be made, they have to be made now. This may be your one and only chance. I hope it's not. Because if you make it work, you will have many more chances. And we want you to make it work. Now, let me say this. It's not just about wanting the opposition to win at all costs. It is about creating a multi-party democracy. And that, to me, is key. Before March 2008, I have to say I never thought I would see change in my lifetime. And March 2008 brought a lot of hope. And as I say, ultimately, what multi-party democracy does is it returns power where it should be, to the people. And it is important that we support whatever reforms have been made that are positive. It is important that we give constructive criticisms where in fact we think more is needed. Now, I don't have much time, so I'm going to keep this short. As we all know, Penang and Selangor considered the crown jewels of the states in West Malaysia. And we know that the federal government is doing all it can to take it back. They did it in Perak, they're going to keep doing it. You know what the odds are. You know what you're up against. But despite all those challenges, we also know that the civil service was probably impossible to deal with initially because they have a mindset that is very difficult to change. But given all those challenges, I must say, when it comes to governance issues, that the Selangor state government has taken very long strides, and we're very proud of that. Transparency, accountability actually means something. The public declaration of assets is a very important step. If you recall, not too long ago at the Malaysian Law Conference, I remember challenging the MACC chief and I said, will you agree to propose to the government that there should be a public declaration of assets by all those in government? That was picked up in the press. And immediately the response was from ministers, oh no, we can't do that. We already declare our assets to the Prime Minister. Now declaring to the Prime Minister was no use. You may as well not declare it at all. So what is needed is a public declaration of assets. And in fact, I suggested that even our judiciary should have a public declaration of assets. I mean, in the United States, we have. And that will immediately, you see, that immediately gives confidence to the people when you do that. Now, so that is one of the key things. Corruption is something that we are so sick of, so utterly sick of, that the fact that the Islamic government took that upon itself as one of its first tasks was something that was very promising. But I'm not here to praise the Islamic state government. I think the book does quite a lot of that. Let me tell you, I'm not here to criticize either. Let me tell you my wish list. The first thing that I would like to see is local council elections coming back. I believe that there are legal arguments that can be made for the passing of an act for local council elections. I'm not sure why, and I know this was on the cards, I'm not sure why there was a pullback on that initiative. I believe it wasn't legal issues, because I think I would say that it is something that is very doable. It is something that is actually envisaged in the federal constitution. And any legislation that disallows it, in my view, could be said to be ultra-violent to the Constitution. So I think there is a very strong, sound legal argument to push for local council elections. And I would like to see the Pakatan state government, Assam government, pushed that initiative. As I say, time is not on your side. It is something I think, you see, when you're not in power, you will realize that that is something, if you're not in power, you realize that that's something that is very critical for accountability, transparency, and for good governance. So that is one of the things that I'd like to see the Petaling state government do. The second thing is already on the cards, it's already done deal, I think, which is the Freedom of Information Act. Again, if that comes through quickly, and I hope it will, I believe it will, that is a huge step forward. Because we are living in a society where everything is hidden from us. Because the Official Secrets Act, they can actually label anything an official secret, and it's no longer accessible to the public. And that's the best way in which they can do what they want, and they can get away with abuses of power. So the Freedom of Information Act is a very, very important piece of legislation. I gather that the state government is in fact speaking to NGOs and trying to get their input. That's a very good exercise. I take it that the Bar Council may also be involved. I'm not sure. They will be consulted. I think will be a meaningful dialogue. So that is something that is a very positive move. Now, one of the things that I think the Bar Council was trying to get the Islamic State government to look at is legal aid. And I would encourage the Islamic State government to look at this positively. I believe that the Prime Minister has announced legal aid foundation. That's fine. If it's set up eventually, that is a very good thing. But you will find that the state can also set up a legal aid foundation of sorts, can start a legal aid foundation. Right now, the Bar Council takes the brunt of carries the brunt of the load in relation to legal aid. Legal aid is critical because it empowers people. And I believe that that is something the state government can and ought to look at. Now, I also know that you have state legal advisors. Now, by the way, many people still call you the opposition state government. You're not opposition state. To me, it's a contradiction in terms. You are the state government. You are the government, the other side of the opposition. So, you see, these are mindset changes that we have to make. But I am aware that state legal advisors and those who are advising the state government, who have, of course, worked for more than 50 years with the Pakistan government, have difficulties with where their allegiances lie. There is also a problem in that they of who they report to. Now, obviously, looking at the legislation, it may be difficult for you to appoint your own state legal advisors, but what you could do is employ lawyers. You have to do it. Sometimes you just have to get on with it, okay? Make sure that someone's looking over the shoulder of the state legal advisors. I know of instances where, in fact, in Perak it happened. You had state legal advisors acting against the interests of the then Menteri Besar. You had the state legal apparatus, and you had the state enforcement apparatus working against the state Menteri Besar. That is unheard of. But a lot of it is because people cannot get used to the idea of opposition being government, you know what I mean. So it needed a tremendous mindset change. And I think in Selangor, you will, if you can just show that ultimately that good, clean governance really works, then that is a model that people can look up to. That is what people want. That's all that people want. And I think you should trust the electorate. Sometimes when we see squabbles going on in the press between trading of powers between government officials and opposition, we're actually getting a little bit tired of that. And I think you don't have to answer every criticism sometimes, because you have to trust that the electorate knows what is happening. They know that what our media is about. I'm very happy to hear that you're actually disseminating information on your own. You have your own press, that is very important. Jacqueline will handle freedom of media. We know how important that is. As Tan Sri said, even cartoonists It can be dangerous. Well, Mickey Mouse may be next, watch out. But, you know, oversensitivity of criticism